Gotta tell you this true story that just happened the other day, the same night as the NBA Finals Game 6. I went to my uncle's house, right? And so he lives in Maple Grove, really nice area. And you know how you get to an apartment complex and you gotta go in and like type in, you know, the unit number so they can buzz you up. So I get to this complex in Maple Grove. I've been there 50 times before. And as I'm typing the number and the door starts to ring or the phone starts to ring, a white woman walks out. And she's about, I don't know, late 40s, early 50s. And like, I say hi as she walks by and like kind of get out of her way. And then she notices that I'm gonna then go behind her and then go into the complex and go up to my uncle's house. And literally after she noticed that I may potentially slide by her, she stopped and blocked me and hurry up and shut the door. And was like, no, I can't let you in here until you get buzzed up. And I looked at her and I'm like, what? And so right there in my mind, I'm like, to me, that's definitely a race relation issue, right? This white woman was scared of me, black man, black tech guy, red hat, walking into this complex to the point to where she felt it was her responsibility to block me from walking in the complex. And so I was like, do I snap, right? I'm like, nah, don't snap, bro. You in Maple Grove, she'll call the police and it might be tight on you. I'm like, do I have a conversation with her? Well, if I did that, that means that after the door was shut, she walked out of the next door and then I would have had to follow her, and clearly that would have scared her. And so I literally just yelled out the door because like 3 seconds later, I got buzzed up. I was like, well, they let me in. And you know, she was just like, whatever. And so it just reminded me of the implicit bias that just happens for Black people, Black men every day. And so I just started thinking more and more about it and like, how has race played a role in this journey as a tech guy and me saying I'm the black tech guy and all this stuff. So that's why I wanted to drop and talk about race this session, because like there was just this racial issue, racial tension that just happened the other day. And so I started reflecting back to when I first adopted the black tech guy, right? And it was probably like 5 or 6 years ago now, where a cousin of mine was just like, oh, you're the black tech guy. And it was because of a conversation that I had with him before, like when I first got into tech. And I used to walk into these all white spaces and I used to feel like I didn't belong there, right? So this is 2010, 11, 12, 13, and this is before diversity and inclusion was trending, right? And so one, there was a lot of just insecurities on my part that may have not have been real. But then two, it was like, man, every space I walk into, it's all white and typically all white males. And so I used to feel like an imposter, like, hey, I should have a business already running before I come in here, or I should be a master programmer before I come in here, or I should have some type of expertise to feel as if I belong in this space. And so I went through that for years, like uncomfortable, because I was the only person of color typically in these rooms. And so I don't know, it was a crazy feeling of feeling invisible in these spaces, and also the thing that stood out, right? It's like, all right, I walk to these spaces, typically, you know, the feeling of being greeted like I was supposed to be there wasn't the case. And so I can kind of like hide in the back or listen to whatever the session was or whatever and connect with people, you know, when I come and just interrupt circles. But at the same time, it was like, I felt like I always stood out, because if somebody walks in the room, they're like, oh, there's the black guy, you know? And so that was my journey for years. And then I had a conversation like that with my cousin, and that's when he was like, oh, you're just the black tech guy. Let me make you a shirt that says the black tech guy. And so, you know, 5 or 6 years ago when I adopted that brand, it was, two things happened. One, I took ownership in being the only black guy in the room at the time, or a lot of the rooms I walked into. And so it was like putting this S on my chest, like, all right, if I am the black tech guy in the room, just gonna own it and walk in like, shoot, I own the room, right? And I feel like that mindset shift was necessary for me. Like, oh, Mondo, you know, chill, reserve, like just kick back and have a good time with family. Transition to the Black Tech Guy business, pitch anywhere, talk to anybody, confidence. I mean, I always had confidence as Mondo too, but like confidence just booming and just positive energy and just always on, like never off. And so I feel like I kind of had that same experience or that same like dual personality, I guess, which is kind of crazy. A cousin of mine challenged me and just saying like, be prepared, like you're in tech, you're trying to build these businesses and eventually you are going to need some money from some investors, and more than likely it's going to be some very affluent white men. And he was like, I hope you're aware that there will be a certain type of white man that will not invest in you or listen to a pitch or even consider you because you walk around with the Black Tech Guy on your chest. Just because a lot of the times when you put black in front of anything, some people are uncomfortable with it, right? You think of like, hey, Black Power, you think of Black Lives Matter, you think of the Black Tech Guy. It's like some people do not like anything affirming with the word black in front of it. And so, you know, me and my cousin really talked through it, and he wasn't hating. He was just saying like, I hope you're prepared for this when it happens. And so, you know, navigating the tech space, yeah, I've been in situations where I know like people don't like it, right? I know I walk in some rooms and it's like, dang, that's kind of over the top, right? But like, that's cool if 5, 10, 20% of the people are frowning upon it, but the other 80% are like, hey, that's dope. I appreciate the brand building and I recognize your brand, then I'm good to go, right? I always say if you don't have any haters, you ain't doing something right. I had this insecure feeling of stepping into these white spaces and not being a programmer, right? And not feeling like I belonged. And then I broke through that barrier for me mentally. And then fast forward, it's like, I got people that look like me saying, how does he call himself the Black Tech Guy if he doesn't program? How can he be the Black Tech Guy? And like, he's not the only Black Tech Guy. And it was so funny when I first heard this like come to light. And I was like, oh, that's so interesting, because it's like when people say Black Lives Matter, they're not saying only Black Lives Matter, they're just saying Black Lives Matter. And so I looked at it like, hey, I say the Black Tech Guy. My shirt doesn't say the only Black Tech Guy, it just says the Black Tech Guy. And so since for a long time, at least locally, my name has been synonymous with being black in tech, you know, I don't think many people are feeling it that have probably been on the journey and black have been going through this longer than me or at the same pace. So the issue with like me being, you know, running into this white lady in Maple Grove that was threatened or fearful of me just because of this implicit bias of me saying I'm the Black Tech Guy or a fit black man walking into your space, and made her uncomfortable, all the way to, you know, really learning that there are some black people in tech in the Twin Cities that is literally like speaking down upon the Black Tech Guy for personal reasons that it's like, bro, we all in this together, or miss, we all in this together. It's unfortunate, right? And at the end of the day, it all revolves back to like my moniker of just win. Like, just win. I just have to win. There's the barriers that are presented or the hurdles or whatever. Like, it's different for everybody on their journey to achieve whatever they want to achieve. But at the end of the day, you just have to win. And so that's why I say just win so much, because those excuses, those things that are happening are just part of the journey, and I have to appreciate it. If I literally learn that some people of power in tech, white or black, is blocking me in this ecosystem, I just gotta win. Just win. It makes for a more compelling story, and it's just what I'm gonna do. Win.